Hey guys, okay, so I'm sorry about the last couple of weeks. I got sick, and before that, I had a personal thing that came up that kept me from being able to be at class. So we're a little bit behind, and at the same time, I've been looking at the rhetorical analysis stuff, and I've been working hard on creating the content and the booklet, and realizing that there's a lot of things that I will need to cover for you guys to be able to do that well. There are a lot more skills and concepts that I guess I had thought that hopefully you guys would already be familiar with that maybe you aren't, or ways that it didn't fit into the original plan. Like originally, I had planned for us to meet 4 times for those lectures instead of one for each group. And it's just not going to be enough time for us to be able to cover everything well. So I figured I had 2 options. Either the first was to continue the original plan and expect you to do a lot of work on what is really one of the most difficult types of writing, even if it's one of the most important. And second, put my and I felt like if I did that, I was really kind of setting you up for failure. And I also felt like because one of the things that I talk about in this unit is that it's very difficult to read the amount of reading that we tend to assign as college professors, and it's not necessarily working with your brain. So I was going to be expecting you to rely a lot on reading, right as I was telling you that that wasn't the most effective way to learn, and that kind of seemed a little hypocritical, and a bit ironic. So I didn't want to do that. So the other option is to adjust the schedule to allow you more time to cover these important skills, which these skills will benefit you in reading textbooks. They'll benefit you in future research. They will benefit you in reading critically. They'll benefit you in watching advertisements on TV, looking at your Facebook feed. These are some really important skills with far-reaching benefits. And so I decided that it was a better idea for me to go ahead and extend things out a little bit and make some adjustments rather than setting you up for failure, because I never want to do that. My goal is always to set you up for future success. Then I really do think that the rhetorical analysis mode is important because it emphasizes skills that are important with research later on. It teaches you to be media literate, to think critically about what you read online, and to develop crucial analytical skills that will benefit you throughout your college career. And although research papers are very important and I'm very passionate about them, they are covered in a lot more detail in 102, so they're not as important for us to deal with here. So I've decided to make some important changes that I think most of you will be really happy about. Okay, so the first piece of exciting news is we are no longer doing a research paper. The second piece of exciting news for you is that after your compare-contrast essay that's due, I think, today, you won't have another essay due until November the 18th. And I figured I would go ahead and cue... There you go. I assume that's how most of you are feeling upon reading that news. So I thought, or hearing that news, so I thought I would just go ahead and include the Hallelujah clip for you. So here's the new plan. Well, we'll actually be spending a lot more time on rhetorical analysis than I'd originally planned. The first lecture on this will be on the 14th. This should be 10-14, not 11-14. Let me fix that, as originally planned. That's for Cohort 1, which is, again, last names ending in A through H. Cohort 2 will meet for the first rhetorical analysis lecture on 10-22. Then 10-21. Then we'll do one more set of rhetorical analysis lectures for each cohort. That'll be on 10-28 and 11-4. So this will allow me to split the lectures up so that I can focus on reading skills in one lecture and help us get caught up on anything that you're confused about and compare and contrast. And then we can focus on writing the rhetorical analysis in the next lecture. So that we can kind of spend some more time on that, and we can talk a little bit more about MLA citations and things like that. Your first draft for rhetorical analysis will be due on November the 8th, your peer review on November the 13th, and your final draft on November the 16th. I know a lot of you have been talking to me about having demands in other classes, or at least in other classes students have been, and I assume it's going on here as well, and getting behind and being very stressed and anxious. So I'm hoping this will also kind of give you a little bit of time to kind of balance your workload a little bit. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be paying attention to what I'm teaching you, obviously, but it means that you'll have more time to read and read well. After that, the next 2 meetings will be on persuasive argumentative. I think most of you are most familiar with this mode, and everything we've done so far has led up to it, so there's not going to really be any surprises. Cohort 1 will meet on November 11th, and Cohort 2 will meet on November 18th. Your rough draft will be due the Monday after Thanksgiving on November 30th. The peer review will be on December the 4th, and the final draft will be submitted on the day of your final, which is December the 7th. I won't be able to accept any late submissions on this because you're going to have a lot of time to do them, and B, because they will be due on the day of the final. But you will have a lot more time to do these and to get them done well, and you won't actually be required to do research for them. Then the amount of points for these assignments is also going to change because we're cutting out the research paper. So the rhetorical analysis was originally fewer points than any other main essay, and when I was really thinking about it, that didn't make sense. It actually involves more work than like the descriptive narrative or the compare-contrast. So I adjusted it that it's now worth 200 points, and that's because it involves the same skills as you'd use in a research paper, so it makes sense for it to be worth more. The persuasive argumentative essay is also a slightly harder mode than like a descriptive narrative or compare-contrast, so instead of 130, it's now worth 150 in total. The other 180 points will be in the form of short exercises that we'll do throughout rhetorical analysis and persuasive argumentative, and we'll also do some research exercises as well to help you to prepare for different kinds of writing instead of actually having to do a full-length research paper. So there'll probably be like 10 or so that'll be about 20 points, give or take. And these might ask you to look for certain sources or write short summaries or things like that. And that way you'll get practice with reading skills, you'll get practice with research skills, you'll get practice with kind of writing skills and things like that over the course of these last like 6 weeks. So here's the newly revised schedule. We've already done through compare-contrast, or we're finishing up compare-contrast now. So you'll see, this is just what I covered before. Weeks 9 through 12 are now dedicated to the rhetorical analysis. And the rhetorical analysis booklet, I'm still actually working on it. I still haven't finished all of it. And it's already at, what is this, like 32 pages, and I still have to do the walkthrough and add stuff in. So it's going to end up being pretty close to 50 pages, which is one of the reasons that I was like, we really need to spread this out, because I don't want to make you guys read, 25 pages a week, even if that is perfectly reasonable. I don't think you're going to do it well. So now this will spread it out so that you'll have less to do each week as far as reading. You'll have a little bit more time to practice. And hopefully be a little bit less stress on you. As I said before, rough draft is due 11/8, peer review is due 11/13, final draft is due 11/16. Then for the persuasive argumentative, that'll be weeks 13 and 14. Rough draft will be due on 11/30, peer review on 12/4, and final draft on 12/7. I hope that this has been exciting news for you. We'll kind of cover all of this again in class on Wednesday. I should be back on campus by then. I don't have COVID. I do have something else, but as long as I've had my fever's been down for 24 hours before class, which I think it will be because it's not there this morning, I'll be back on Wednesday. So that brings us to the end of this little update. I'll go ahead and embed this at the bottom of the announcement that I'm working on, and I'll talk to you guys soon.